Hey, Paul McGinnis here with some thoughts for your daily walk today. And if you've noticed, we just take a couple verses from the next chapter in the Gospel of Luke. And so we'd love for you to follow along with us as you watch these videos. Just some stuff that's jumping out to me, some lessons and some ideas that are helping me, and maybe they'll help you too. Today's especially really flips on its head what we think of importance and what's not important, insignificance, because like you, I like to feel important. I like to put myself out there as someone who's at least got some things together, right? We like to look good, especially different personality types. We want to just make sure that people think we have it all together. And there's a great story in Luke 18 where Jesus really debunks that whole approach. And it starts in verse 11. I'm not going to read it all, but he talks about these two guys, and one of them is a Pharisee who outwardly looked like he had it all together, looked like he followed all the rules and was kind of the best of the best in the religious circles. And he's praying, and an eloquent prayer, and he just thanks God for how great he is, right? And he reminds God of how much he tithes and how good he is and how much he gives and how much he helps. And he even thanks God that he's not like other people, lesser people, outsiders. And then Jesus talks about a tax collector who in that day was an outsider, especially to the religious folks. This was a Jewish person who really sold out to the Romans and would be stealing money from his own countrymen, the Jews, and giving it to Rome, and in between getting rich off it. So here's a tax collector. But when the tax collector prays, he just says, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And the tax collector, the outsider, the sinner, the bad guy, shows humility and shows remorse. And then Jesus says this at the end of that story, and this is verse 14, I tell you the truth, that this sinner, the Pharisee, I tell you that this sinner, not the Pharisee, returned home justified before God. And listen to this, for those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. And just that verse in itself always packs a punch for me, because it just reminds me that we're either gonna be humble or we are gonna be humbled, right? Be humble or be humbled. But then Luke does something amazing, and I only just noticed this recently. The very next story that he tells, I think, is an illustration of this, because it's not the next thing that happens chronologically. He just says sometime later, these parents brought their children to Jesus so that Jesus could lay his hands on them and bless them. But the disciples kind of moved the kids away. They wanted Jesus to focus on more important things. And Jesus sees this as a teachable moment. And he says, no, guys, you're missing it. This is the most important thing. These children, the heart of a child, the faith of a child, that's what you need to be going after. Don't worry about looking good or having it all together. Look inside, look at deeper. Faith like a child, the heart of a child. And he elevates children. And it's just such a beautiful picture. Because I still remember my kids when they would just wear the craziest stuff and they couldn't care less, right? The color combinations and the patterns, they were just going loud, they were going proud. And we just let them do that, right? Let them go that way. Let them be kids. Let them not worry about the externals if their heart's in the right place. And that's what Jesus wants from us. He says, listen, don't worry so much about what's on the outside. Don't worry so much about exalting yourself, but recognize that on the inside, you need humility. You need to humble yourself. You need to have that faith and that heart of a child. That's what God's looking for, and that's what he's going to honor and exalt. So that's coming from Luke chapter 18. Those who humble themselves will be exalted. Those who exalt themselves will be humble. Take a lesson from the kids around you today.